So welcome back. Remember to subscribe. Remember to subscribe, guys, to our YouTube channel. And let's continue. Before we ended our lecture 8, we were on this slide. We talked about the central processing unit as a component of that computer component, the hardware component that is within the systems unit. So where we have talked about what it means, what is the central processing unit. We said is that component that interprets the commands that we give the computer. We have looked at those three main parts of the central processing unit: the control unit, the arithmetic logical unit, the arithmetic logic unit, and the registers. Okay, so let's continue with this slide where we have different categories of central processing unit. We have this Intel Pentium 4. We have an Intel Core i7. So we have the generation is going on changing. iCore 7, this is also another iCore 7. This is a dual core, okay, kind of processor. This is a Core i9 or iCore 9, okay. So there are parts or components that are found in the systems unit or the computer case. So let's also look at the memory. We have also another part that we looked at as the memory. So what is it really? What is the memory in the systems unit? So it is an electronic component, or it is that part of the computer, or is the component in the systems unit that stores instructions, data, and results. Okay, electronic components that store instructions, data, and results. Okay, like the other side in other theories, we said the memory, mainly we were focusing on the random access memory. We said for it stores information temporarily. Okay, so it consists of one or more chips on the motherboard or other circuit boards. Each byte stores, each byte stored in a unique location called the address. Okay, so each byte of data is stored on a given location. Okay, those locations we call the addresses on the memory. Okay, so we are looking at also what we are calling the measurements of the memory. Okay, the measurements of the memory. How is the memory or memory measured? Okay, so we are saying memory is measured in terms of bytes available for storage on that memory. So for example, we are saying 1 kilobyte stores around 1024. Okay, or one kilobyte is equivalent to 1024, which is a byte, okay, or bytes, 124 bytes. So 1 MB, we have seen these things happen in our storage devices. You store 1 MB, 1 kilobyte of a song on your memory. So 1 MB is equivalent to 1024 kilobytes. Okay, just 1 MB is equivalent to this worth of 1 kilobyte. Okay, so 1 gigabyte is equivalent to 1024 MBs, megabytes. Okay, then 1 terabyte is equivalent to 1024 gigabytes, and so on and so forth. As it goes like that, it increases. 1 terabyte is equivalent to that amount of gigabytes. Okay, So plus other measurements. Now this side we see 1 bit is equivalent is equal to binary digit, or 1 binary digit. 1 bit is a binary digit. 8 bits are equivalent to 1 byte. Okay, are we together? To 1 byte. So with time we shall get some calculations of these conversions of the memory, and we talk about it. 1024 bytes are equivalent to 1 kilobyte. Okay, so the calculation continues. You can go through them and get time to read about the memory measurements. Okay, so let's look at the memory continued. I was saying the system unit contains 2 types of memory, like we said in our previous tutorials. So the volatile memory and the non-volatile memory. Okay, so the volatile memory loses its content when power is turned off, or when the computer goes off. What do you think that is? It is the RAM, the random access memory. So which is our example here? The random access memory is that type of memory that is volatile. It stores information temporarily. In other words, it loses its information when the computer is turned off, or when power goes off. So we have what we are calling the non-volatile or memory, which is the ROM. Okay, for it does not lose its content when power goes off, or power is turned off, or when the computer is turned off. It does not lose its content. We used to say it is that type of memory that comes within the computer. It comes with the circuit, as a circuit on the board. It was put there by the manufacturers. That is what we normally say. It is containing information that are talking about the computer, that were put by the manufacturers. You can't add or remove information on it. That is the ROM, the read-only memory. Okay. So we are looking at what is a random access memory. As we said, it is that kind of memory that loses its content. We're saying RAM chips usually reside on a memory module and are inserted into the memory slot. So we have what we're calling a memory module, and for it is inserted on what we are calling a slot. Okay, a slot here. So this is our memory chip, this one, and it is inserted on a slot. Okay, on a slot in the systems unit. So memory chips that can be read from and written to by the processor, also called main memory, or the primary storage, is the memory. Most random access memories or memory is volatile. They lose information. So the more RAM a computer has, the faster it responds to the commands you give it. So we need enough memory in our computer, most especially the random access memory. The bigger the size, like we saw on our calculations up here, the bigger the size you choose for the memory, the faster the computer will process, or will perform tasks, will respond. Okay, we have how do programs instructions or program instructions transfer in and out of the memory, or the random access memory. So step 1 is when you start the computer, certain operating system files load to the computer or to the memory. Okay, from the hard disk, remember the operating system is stored or is installed on the hard disk, and when you start your computer, they load it to the memory. Okay, the operating system loads to the memory, and later on it displays something on the computer, on the screen, on the monitor. Okay. Then here, step 2, we are saying when you start a web browser, for example, that is a program. The program is the program's manufacturers or instructions or information loads onto the memory. So you start a browser, it loads onto the memory, it is displayed. Step 3, you open a program like word processor, it loads on the memory, it is displayed on the screen. Okay. Then step 4 is a bit tricky. Step 4, when you quit a program, for example, such as the web browser, its program instructions are removed from the random access memory. For example, if I'm opening a given, for example, this slide, this presentation, I close it, I quit the program, then it will be removed from the memory. Okay? So that is basically how the information is moving in and outside the memory. When you open you put on your computer, the operating system loads to the memory, and then it is displayed on the screen. After you open a given program, it is loaded to the memory, and it is displayed on the screen. When you quit a given program, then its information or instructions are removed from the queue on the memory. Okay? So ports and connectors, we talked about this some time back on our presentation, but that one can't stop us from discussing them here. We are looking at a port. A port is the point at which a peripheral attaches to or communicates with a system unit. Okay? Sometimes referred to as the jack. So there are those holes, the ports, where a given component or given part of the computer is fixed so that it can easily communicate with the computer, with other parts in the computer. Okay? So a connector joins, actually, is a cable. A connector is a cable. So it joins to the port. So you get a cable, for example, I said this, look at this. This is a port here. This is a port. We have different ports here. Okay? So this is a cable. So a cable sits in a given port, right? So we have a port and a connector. So a connector is a cable, and a port is where the connector sits, right? So that is basically the ports and connectors. Okay. For example, on a notebook computer, that is maybe laptop computer, the ports are on the back, front, or on the side of the computer. Look at this. These are ports. All these ones are ports. These are ports of the computer. So ports of the desktop computer, we're saying what are ports and connectors. Ports, we have discussed them up on the other slide, but these are different ports on the desktop behind the desktop computer. There are very many ports there, and they have their connectors that fits in them. Okay? So look at these. There are different types of ports on our computers. When we come back from the break, we are going to discuss the types of ports found on given computers. Okay? So look at them carefully, and all these are found on a computer. Okay? They're found on a computer. Thank you guys for watching. Let's meet on the next tutorial. Let's meet in the next discussion. Thank you for loving our tutorials. Keep subscribing. See you.